and to audiences far and wide. But we are also currently in Yoke House, Rock Place by Yoke House, which is this wonderful space. They are a fantastic kind of hub for people who really are creative and want to be inspired and join a community that's got something a little bit different. Anybody who is interested and wants to have a little walk around, please grab me at any point, or feel free to just have a little wander. As you can see, memberships start from £99 a month, but we're also super grateful because these guys are sponsored tonight and they've given us this space. So thank you very much. And as I was saying, we have a new kind of iteration of Marketing Matters. Really what it's all about, and our mission is to kind of harness the inquisitive marketeer to explore impactful innovation. So I think you'll agree we'll find experts. Round of applause for our experts, please. Thank you. But a big thing that everybody here really wanted to do is kind of ask difficult questions to get impactful answers where we can actually grow our careers and learn, because there are lots of events where you can have pizza and wine, yay, but also learning and getting results from, you know, your time. We know your time is precious, and collaborating is really important to us. So please do join us on our journey. Thank you very much for coming. And a final big thank you to these guys. So Silicon Brighton are our kind of main sponsor supporter. They are, I'm going to read this off so I don't get it wrong. They are basically I've lost it on my sheet, brilliant. They're a community of tech companies which are really kind of growing and pushing the tech industry into the stratosphere. But their meetups are all just about getting everyone together, collaborating, and they are all possible due to these amazing members. So massive thanks to Silicon Brighton for having us in their team. I'm now going to beautifully and seamlessly hand over to Kitty, who's going to do a much better job of this. And thank you again for coming, and I look forward to speaking to you in a bit.
You just hold that. That's for you guys, because I've got thing. Thank you, Helen. Okay, so we are talking AI. Now, everybody in this room has done something with AI. It wouldn't have been easy or correct to have said that like a few months ago. But everybody's experience in AI is very different. So today, we want to talk about the specifics around using AI to create new content. We're marketers, we're creatives. We want to use these tools to help us in our world and our work. But what does this landscape look like? And where's it going? And what do we need to be aware of? So before I introduce our panelists, I want us to get all on the same page. Has anyone seen this photograph before? This was an entry this year to Sony World Photography Competition, and it won. And it was made completely using AI. The German artist Boris Eldegardagsen didn't accept the award or the prize because he entered to kind of provoke a debate about the fact that we're not really ready yet to judge these creative products in the same way that we have done all of our lives so far. This work is by an experiential artist in our midst, Grant Dudson over there. This is his work. So he uses Midjourney to bring these ideas to life. And something that you've explained to me before is that you have a North Star idea, and then you input that idea into these tools and machines to get these outcomes. And a couple more of Grant's work here. If Tetris became a fashion brand, if Louis Vuitton and Super Mario launched a collection, and if Burberry made toilet rolls, I mean, that would be absolutely incredible. Hopefully we're all rich enough to do that one day. So you can see here that the AI, I mean, we can hear specifically more details around how the AI works potentially, but scraping the internet to find information and then create something new based on the initial idea that we put into the machine. In February this year, Getty Images was suing Stability AI for scraping 12 million photos to train its Stability Diffusion AI generation system, February. Then, in April, so last month, Stability AI, along with Midjourney and DeviantArt, fired back at a group of artists who accused them for doing this, for committing mass copyright infringement. But the artists, the AI systems argued that the AI-created images are not similar to the artist's work. So in the space of a couple of months, you've had Getty Images suing, Stability AI contradicting that argument. And I think that's where we find ourselves now, to join our panel of experts to explore this absolute rabbit hole of issues. So we'll start in the middle with Ifi. So Ifi specialises in affective computing, machine learning, signal processing, virtual reality systems, and experiment design. Since 2016, Ifi has been investigating the recognition of physio-psychological states within XR while working at Brighton's Emteq Labs, which is a Brighton-based AI tech business. As well as this, and I think this puts Ifi in a very unique position, Ifi's also an artist and creator. She has a master's in fine art, and so she can see very perfectly, nicely balance this world of AI technology and the creative space. Anuj is a commercial lawyer with an interest in copyright and intellectual property law. He's keen to explore the potential issues within the creative and marketing services industries, within us leaning too heavily on AI systems to create content. And then Ricky has literally written the book on SEO. The book is called Do You Want Your Website to Rank on Google? And he's been using AI since before our grandmas were using it 6 months ago. Couple of years you've been using AI in your tools. So we want to get the practical aspects of how we can use these tools in our work. So I'm going to hand over to our panel. Ifi, can we start with you? Can you just give us an overview of what you do at Emteq, a bit of a background of your work in AI, and how you see this explosion impacting the creative world?
Okay, so as you already gave a very good description of what we do, so long story short, we create systems that have sensors and they can track bodily changes. So this way we can understand the emotional state of the user, the affective state of the user. And to do so, we have to employ machine learning techniques, which falls under the umbrella of artificial intelligence. And the reason why we do that is because we need to train the machine to understand and in the process be able to have emotional intelligence itself. So it's a very complicated practice and the applications are immense, but the ability to be able to understand how the user feels or how they experience a certain experience itself, so content or a scenario is very, very important, very powerful. We can provide that back into the user, or we can give that to understand how the content itself was able, what kind of impact it created. And so the AI, in the way that we've seen it lately, has created an immense impact everywhere. We've definitely seen it. At the beginning, we were completely scared and we didn't know what was coming, but in the last few years alone, we've seen that explosion. We've seen that it is possible to now for everyone be able to use the large language models every day. And with ChatGPT or other systems like Bard, etc., we now have the ability to access them ourselves and democratizing the ability to scan over the general and global knowledge. And this is incredible in itself, but there are so many challenges and so many know-hows that we're still not able to get ourselves. We don't know what the outputs of this will be, what the future holds. We have to be prepared to discuss everything.
Exactly, everything, including copyright law. Can you give us a little overview?
Yes, sorry, I'm the boring guy. So yes, I'm a lawyer. I've been working mainly in media for the best part of 20 years, and working with rights in general. Worked with the likes of BT, NBC Universal, the BBC, HMV. And now I work as a freelance lawyer with a number of different small and medium-sized businesses. I also, incidentally and separately, host a podcast about the cannabis industry, which has nothing to do with AI, but yes. So yeah, look, I think rights are kind of at the center of the controversy around this because people are using things without permission at the moment, and it's unclear as to whether they're allowed to do that or not. What is going to inform what happens is mainly going to be litigation to begin with. Legislation and regulation is very slow. There's a big consultation period. Drafting it takes ages, and by the time it gets enacted, it's usually out of date. So it will be litigation, and Getty and various other cases you've heard about are probably going to be what governs things at the moment. A really brief recap on copyright without getting too boring is copyright essentially allows creators to protect their creations, and it protects the expression of an idea, not just the idea. So that means a fixed, tangible form: music, text, sculpture, computer programs. These are all protectable and protected by copyright. Once you have copyright protection, that prevents other people from using your copyrighted works without permission during the copyright period. That changes from different types of medium, but books, for example, copyright protection in a book is from creation until 70 years after the death of the author. And after that, it comes into the public domain. So you may have heard of that phrase. There's a number of issues around copyright, namely that every country has a different set of rules. They're broadly similar, but they all have their sort of little oddities. That makes it quite difficult in an AI environment because obviously the internet is global, and so it's quite difficult to sort of figure out who governs what. From what I could gather, and in terms of when I was sort of looking at this again, where the copying takes place is the jurisdiction that the law governs there. But essentially, you must have permission from the content owner if you want to use their work in any way or part of it, unless you have an exception. And there are some exceptions in law that allow people to use copyright works without permission. The main one is a concept called fair dealing or fair use in the US. And that is essentially that they're non-commercial uses where you're allowed to use a copyright work for things like education, so teaching, for news, for parody, or for criticism review. These are common exceptions, but it's unlikely that those will work in an AI environment. And ultimately, the issues around AI are all of this data scraping is using copyrighted works without permission, and that's the crux of the Getty case. And whilst the new works might not necessarily resemble that, the training data that the AI is using is having to kind of make copies of these works. And so even though it's a very kind of technical angle, that is a form of copying. And if you haven't got permission, then it's likely that you're infringing, but we'll see what happens in these cases. And so where copyright and AI kind of butt heads is this inherent tension around protecting creatives and the work that they do, allowing them to earn money from it and to get credit for that, and to give consent about how they want it used, versus seeding an AI industry that is successful. And the UK is trying to take a position as a leader in this, and trying to be pro AI, but there's going to be a significant backlash from the creative community because they've got a lot to protect.
Vicky, so how are you using AI in the practical way to get your businesses up to that high point in Google? And do any of these things concern you?
Yeah, no, thank you. So I run a web studio marketing agency. Like everyone else, obviously we do websites and e-commerce and pay-per-click and meta, but what we're really good at is SEO. And what makes us different is that we actually run a children's boutique website, Itty Bitty. Me and my wife launched the website. Within the year, became page one on Google, 100,000 followers, million views per month on Pinterest, celebrity followings. We've got Christina Milan follows us, and Tamara Eccleston, and so many, just to prove you don't have to be an expert with marketing. However, if you've got the foundation right with SEO, you can get, you know, great results. So I've been using AI for two months, over 2 years. And there's two ways I use it. And it's been really interesting with AI because everyone's on LinkedIn having a chat and everyone's like, oh my goodness, if you go on to ChatGPT and do a blog post and publish it, Google's going to blacklist you and kick you off and all this stuff. And other people say, no, you don't. And it's just, I've been very quiet until today just to talk about it because we've used it for 2 years. So the two ways that we use AI, the first way may surprise you is training. So we do a lot of, say, SEO work on websites or meta ads. So within our team, we'll say, guys, go and write an advert to promote this, I don't know, beer brand, for example, and they'll get stuck. So we use AI to, create a AIDA framework, the awareness, interest, desire, action. And straight away, we've got, like, it's a tool to help create the advert when you have that little brain fog. And you're like, straight away, it structured it correctly in an advert way. Then we do the same with PAS, and then using that as a tool, our guys or myself, we then add our bits, and it just really helps us. And interestingly, we 100% get more results when we use that framework using AI to help us of what we want to, because what we know about the brand or what we're promoting. And that's been our secret, well, up until now. Now you're all going to go away, AI, do this. But try it when you go, whatever program, if you're using Jasper or Bing or what have you, just ask it, any brand, like promote this Evian bottle. And that's the advert, and use that within Meta. And I was very lucky to go to Meta in London before Christmas. They gave me like an invitation. I thought it was marketing, like a personal invitation. I was like, yeah, of course, be thousands. But there's literally 99 other people. And they all flew in from America. And I had a chat with them directly. And they're like, yeah, Rick, this is how Meta wants to go. And I told them how we're using AI to help get results, in turn help our clients. And they're like, Rick, that is spot on. So we knew we was on to the winner. So that's the first way we use AI for training. The second way, because everyone does it on blogs, is landing pages on the website. So everyone goes on, for myself, for my career, everyone goes on like, Rick, I need a blog. Why do you need a blog? Because it's cool. Everyone blogs. I should write about the subject. It gets traffic. Google wants to blog and da 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 da. And then they'll go into their ChatGPT or Bing and write me 1,000 words blog about this candle. And then they'll copy that and they paste it on the website. And then that's it. They think this is great. This blogging is great. We're going to rank #1. But there's so many structural factors why that will not rank. So they actually think they've saved a lot of time when actually they've done no indent in the world of SEO with search. So we've been using AI to help with landing pages. And another secret, which I'm going to share with you, is the contact us page. The amount of clients, when we go and review their websites, their contact us page is very much, they get high views, generally in the top 3, 4, 5 pages of views. And the contact us page is literally their telephone number, email, form. And we look at the conversion and you're like, well, we don't get many leads. And so look, let's use AI, and I can sit with them and just go back to that AIDA framework of sales points of why they should kind of work with you, or the trust signals. And that's again worked really well, which is separate to anyone else with blogs. And it's utilizing landing pages or pages like your contact us page. But that actually transition of using the tool AI to get you results, if it's directly or for your clients, it works. So they're the two kind of main things, which everyone's quite shocked to hear, but it just works. So give it a go.
So the things that I'm listening to there is, there's two areas here. We've got AI as a tool, which is what, Ricky, you're using it for, to help you kind of streamline processes, make work more efficient. And then we have that is a tool as well, but this creative process. So Ifi, if artists end up or have this against AI generators approach, as an artist in AI, what do you think? Do you think that it's around the idea? Do you think the output, where's the value in the idea and versus the output? And should creators embrace these new technologies?
Yeah, this is a hard debate out there. It's been on for ages now. I think there are about 100 podcasts that you can listen to. But my personal opinion is that AI is out there and is here to stay. So we need to use it, and we need to learn it, and we need to adapt to it, which means that we have to use it as the ultimate tool. And it is there to help us. And how we use it to create prototypes. We use it to make big scale stuff. Take ideas, but also invest time and become the curator of what the output would look like. Because at the end of the day, you have the idea, you have the vision, you are the author. This is your crew, right? This is your helper. And then it comes and feedbacks what it can create to you, and then you curate this. It's a back and forth, it's reiterative, it's constant. You put a lot of effort to actually do it. It's not just a second, come on, make it and publish it. No, you actually put a lot of time into it, and it learns from you, and it understands what you like, and it starts creating more and more your kind of style. And of course, it's very easy still to identify what is actually an AI-generated output and what is a human-generated output. But in the future, that will become probably more nuanced. And this is where we need to be a little bit more careful, maybe train a little bit more humans to understand the differences. We can speak about this later as well. But I want to also mention the example of modern artists like Jeff Koons and Damien Hirst, who actually had a crew of creators or constructors, as they call them, to generate all these paintings or big sculptures of, I don't know, Michael Jackson and his dog. So at this point, I think in 2017, Jeff Koons came out saying, "Oh, I had to reduce my team." Okay, Jeff, how many have you had? 60, he said. He had 60 people. And all his artwork actually, it was his, but there was a big debate. Is it actually Jeff's work? Is he the main artist? Well, in the artwork, we still think, yeah, it's the main author. He had the idea, the vision, and he curated the output, but someone else delivered it. And it's the same thing with any brush or any colors. At the University of Fine Arts, we were taught how to make the actual color and how to make the brass. It was at the last year. I didn't have to learn that. It was great. So nowadays, you've got all these tools out there, but we don't think of you any less if you don't use the old styles, right? So we have to adapt, and we have to reinvent ourselves and what we do in terms of the content creation and style and structure. There's so much to talk about this, so I'll leave it there.
Well, Anuj, what do you for me, it feels like that is obviously very true, but then part of me is thinking, but it's not quite the same, is it?
Well, I mean,
or what were you thinking?
I mean, it's always been a debate around creativity. Is there any kind of original thought? Is everything slightly derivative? We take influence from many different things, and some of it may be copyrighted, some not. But I think there's an interesting case. It's not AI related, but I don't know if people read about Ed Sheeran this week, who successfully defended or won a court case in New York, where the Marvin Gaye estate had taken him to court because they believed he infringed "Let's Get It On," the tune by Marvin Gaye, and claimed that there was some similarities between, I can't remember what the Ed Sheeran track was, but essentially his lawyers successfully argued that, I think the claim was around chord progressions, and I'm not a musician, so I can't claim to understand what that means, but they said there were similar chord progressions used in both songs, and the court found that the chord progressions are kind of fundamental building blocks of music, and they should be free to be used. They can't be owned. And so this is, it's quite a bit of a victory for kind of musicians in terms of their ability to come up with new music. But it kind of highlights there's a very difficult line between inspiration and infringement, and that's always going to be kind of tested and people playing around the edges. So I think, it's a difficult one to answer, because this will always happen. This sampling. Ultimately, it's are you asking for permission from the person that you're taking from, or is it kind of done unconsciously?
Is there a line at the moment with regards to inspiration? Because everyone's inspired by everyone all the time. So how is it judged in the...
I think that it got very, very technical in terms of musical theory in court. And again, I won't try and regale you with that. But yeah, it does get very technical. And yeah, and each case turns on its facts. So it's a bit of a precedent, but not too much. It's whether you've got the money to contest it, really. Yeah.
So do we need to just accept now in this new world of AI that everything can be copied? Do we have to just get on board? Like, or, you know, if so I did another talk and I asked AI to write me a song about that event in the style of Nicki Minaj that I would then rap. But obviously it just scraped Nicki Minaj's work and gave me a whole song. Where's the line? Where do we, like, what do you see the sort of future of this being? And what more needs to be done, I suppose, to protect creators?
I mean, that's a huge one. One of my ideas around this was, you know, if there is an acceptance, I think there's a long way to go till you get there, but if there's an acceptance that everything can be created, and with the internet, you can pretty much steal what you want from anywhere, technically, then some kind of tokenization of content whereby you've got some indelible kind of ownership over a piece of content, and you'll be able to track whenever it's used in whatever shape or form and to whatever extent, and that there's a way that there's a revenue stream that comes back to you, or recognition or compensation that comes back to you for every usage of that. But that will take a long time to kind of happen.
Well, one thing just saying about the art part is really interesting, because I think we touched upon it the other day. It's all well and good. You've got AI to do this art, fine art. And it's a friend of mine, he's a photographer, phenomenal photography. He actually done the photography of this venue and the videography as well. And I was speaking with him. It's like, Sam, it's like, Rick, I want to get more followers on social media. Okay, well, what platform? Instagram. But look, I'm not getting anything. Look at my work. And his pictures are stunning. He's got drones and all sorts. And I said, Sam, it's boring. That's the honest truth in the marketing world. So no offense to any photographers. I said, what you got to do with AI, and we pick a celebrity, I don't know, Kim Kardashian. Ask AI, draw Kim Kardashian as a Disney Pixar character. Post that. Tagging Kim, hashtag all of that stuff. Then tomorrow, with the algorithm, do another celebrity. I don't know, but the king. Draw the king as a Disney Pixar character, another one. And what you'll get, and I explained it to him and he totally got it, is a case of you're creating interesting content, it's unique, it's fun. And then I said, Sam, then you've got the choice with the power of AI. Do you let your followers believe that you drew those images or not? And that was really interesting, and he totally got it. And he'd done a few tests, and straight away he got more followers because it was engaging content. And I said, look, you've still got your photography, but use this as a marketing angle, as a side way, utilizing AI, which takes seconds, to get you that goal. So it's just interesting hearing about the art and all of that, but actually to bring it into marketing to get you what you want to get, which kind of works. So a little tip for you guys.
So, Anuj, I'm going to ask you: Are we overestimating the impact on the short term here, or underestimating the longer term changes that are about to happen? Where's the kind of balance here? Because we're talking about really big kind of cases, and you know, little old me, do I need to really worry about this, or is there something that's going to actually be a storm right now, and then in the longer term it's all gonna, how do you think this is going to evolve?
Well, I mean, that is the phrase that I think technological advancements are generally overestimated the impact in the short term and underestimate in the long term. And that kind of makes sense, because the long term, it's too hard to predict, right? These are very human things. We adapt and change in response to them, so we just can't tell. I mean, social media is an example of this, right? The rise in anxiety and mental health issues that are related to our obsession with social media was an unpredicted consequence of it. And so these sort of impacts you can't really predict at the moment. I think in terms of the short term, what's very interesting is everyone's quite worried about their jobs. My job as a lawyer, everyone says is going to go the way of AI, but virtually every job is going to be affected in some way if you read the stories. I think what the reality is, and actually this has happened in history in terms of every technological advance, whether it's the Industrial Revolution or the internet, there's always been people saying everyone's going to lose their job. And what has happened is that we adapt and we change, and new opportunities in industries spring up as a consequence. And so I believe that will happen in this case. What tends to happen is that menial and manual jobs tend to struggle in these new worlds, and so people in those roles will kind of justifiably be concerned. I think for me, the bigger picture and the longer term worries are around what happens to us as humanity if creativity is commoditized in this way, and how does that affect our creative spirit if you're not able to protect what you create, or you're not rewarded for it? You know, will that disincentivize people from creating in the first place? If I can create a Picasso just through a few taps of whatever, does that mean it ceases to be remarkable? And if I can do it, everyone else in this room can also do it. So how do you differentiate? You know, when it comes to content, blog content, there's already way too much content out there now. But if everyone can create content with, you know, a few prompts, then who's going to read all this stuff? And if 10 people are selling candles and they're all creating similar stories about candles, you know, how are you going to stand out in this crowd? So I think there's a lot of these sort of consequences. I mean, look, ultimately, I do think that one of the kind of remarkable aspects of humanity is our ability to adapt and change. And so I fully believe that we will, but it's just very uncharted and no one really knows what's going to happen. So yeah, I kind of slightly worry about the future in terms of what it does to our kind of skills if we are kind of devolving power to the machines.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you said almost everything. So what do I say now? Let me think. So yeah, there's many challenges, I'm not going to lie, and many fears, and we don't know what the future holds. However, we can see it as a tool. We can see how it progresses. And if we don't get involved now, when are we going to get involved? We need to know how and understand it in order to control it. And the way that it progresses, it's beyond our understanding. There's so many different laboratories at the moment working on so many different, you know, separated aspects of the AI and the intelligence, and how they use it even in animal rat experiments as an AI against animals, and they check how the cognitive behavior of understanding different processes is. Unimaginable stuff. Wow. It's fascinating because it's there, and it's available to us as creatives. We've always loved having new things, right? New challenges, and breaking the rules and disrupting and going against the norm. So using the AI for that is absolutely the best idea for me. Yes, the competition will be higher in the future, especially when generative AI will become a norm. Yeah, that's a problem, because you can see now how they create videos. Have you tried that? Yeah, it's incredible. Okay, still my fluffy lion had 5 legs. However, it was still very cute, and it was very quick. And of course, it will take me some time to perfect it, but I can use the algorithm. And slowly we see generalists who are getting more and more involved with the technological aspects that are not, you know, so difficult anymore to understand. You don't need to be a coder or a programmer to use it. That's so good for everyone here. Yes, of course, some of the programmers I know are like, AI, no, GPT code, no. It's of course, but yeah, for us, it's just an amazing new tool that opens so many doors out there. What my fears are is, as creatives, and you can have subjective creativity, you can have also global creativity or objective creativity. We we need to be able to do we need to be able to solve a problem in a novel and surprising way. That's some of the properties of the creativity, and in order to do that, we need to have the motivation. I'm worried that if we can solve everything so quickly, if we start stagnating mindly, you know, and will not push ourselves, so that it could be, you know, a repercussion. I'm not going to lie. I'm scared that if I know I can do it in 10 seconds, I probably won't do it. I need a little bit of a challenge. And then moving forwards, we need to put regulations. We need to protect the creators. We need to open the discussion. We need to make sure that we have education and training. There's a lot out there that we need to do. And of course, ourselves as AI creators, but also creators of content using AI. Yeah, I'm in a difficult position, but at the same point, I'm thinking this is fantastic. There's so much that we can do. I'll leave it there.
It's so with AI, obviously we all use Google. AI is here to stay. So, and it's so interesting because obviously, for all the years I've been doing all this, I'll go to the clients and say, right, okay, they all want to advertise on Google SEO. And you know what I say to them? I said, what about Bing? That little Bing down there. And so, no one uses Bing, Rick. Why go on Bing? Well, obviously Microsoft and Bing invested millions and billions of dollars into AI. And obviously with I don't know if it's happened or the pending with the potential of Samsung using Bing as the default search engine, finally the little brother's waking up and people are starting to use the shift. And it's great. Like we've got a client in Australia, and every month when we catch up with them on Zoom, I'm like, Andy, you see that $4,000 you've just earned through Bing? Are you going to give it to me? Because after all, no one uses Bing, and it's starting to see. And literally, there's so many businesses do not advertise Bing. So if you work for a company or agency, tell your clients or start advertise on Bing tomorrow, because pretty sure your competitors are not. It's cheaper cost per click, and people do use Bing. Now, because of that, and obviously the power of AI, it's where we're starting to see the different search terms. So certain things you're searching for, you'll be number one on Bing, and Bing will give that a little bit of AI human answer back. So for example, if I'm searching for a baby dress, Bing will be, hey, look, yeah, here it is. Oh, itty bitty, brilliant. And it becomes like a human chat. At the moment with Google, you're looking for a baby dress or products, and then you've got a list of websites, and that's changing, and it's going to drop very soon with its project. Was it Project Maggie, if I pronounce it right? It's a rebuilt search engine with AI in mind. And what's really exciting for any marketing agencies or part of agencies, when you mention SEO, it always has a kind of, I'll be honest, a black kind of mark next to it. What is SEO? What do you do? Do you just take our money and do whatever? But actually, that will become the most important part of your marketing. And the reason why you can search for it afterwards, that when the Project Maggie comes in and you ask Google a question, hi, I'm looking for a red dress, it will have an answer, but that answer will practically take over the screen, especially on mobile. So if you're not number one, what's the point? You're dead. Obviously, with that, Google will sell ads next to that. That's how they roll it out. So SEO will be the most important part of any marketing online, and that's through Google's kind of route. And you'll see that with Bing. Obviously, it will list 1, 2, 3 websites as well. So it's definitely here to stay. And we see the when it was the helpful content update before Christmas, Google will look at your page. Is it helpful? And quite rightly, you said anyone could create a blog post, but Google will look at other elements for the algorithm to see, is that helpful? And it goes back to where we look at and concentrate on landing pages, because landing pages will help with the SEO of that page, because people are, clicking. So there's a lower bounce rate, or as they scroll down the page. These are signals Google's learning. Google's learning all of this through obviously the GA4. And it's interesting when speaking about AI, the more you feed into it. Guess what? If you're logged in with a Google account, they're going to know a lot of information, and they'll know how to eventually to tailor adverts, and they'll know what you look for as well. So it's definitely here. It's really exciting, but the top 2 tips I can give is advertise on Bing straight away, because no one else does, and actually really think about SEO. And I know with a lot of managing directors, they don't want to invest in that time until it's too late. And I keep having these chats, and so you will be left behind. And the biggest issue, which we tell anyone if we work with any client, is that, look, we're confident enough we can get you there. Not necessarily guaranteeing not the first spot, but definitely page one, we'll get you there. But once you're there, it's harder to keep you there, because all your competitors will be like, hang on, where did you come from? And they'd be more aggressive. But now's the window to get in before any of them. And all you've got to do is literally utilizing AI questions and answers, your FAQs, make it engaging, make it a little bit salesy, hence why we train everyone with ADA or the PAS framework. And it's got it, just copy and paste that in amongst it.
Are you training your copy, so the teams that write the content and use the AI tools to create content, are you looking at training how to scope those questions? Because a theme between all the three of you is, I think we will agree that there's an absolute use for AI, 100%. And it seems like it's what you put in is really important, and how you build what you put in. So the scoping question, and maybe it was the same as your video with the cute lion, it didn't look quite, and if you think about the work that Grant does that we looked at the beginning, I don't know how long it takes you to input that information, but it's not going to come out the first question that you ask. You have to put a lot of work in to get something good out. And mentioning the helpful content update, for anyone that doesn't know, that was Google's last update, where it said the more helpful your content is, the better we'll rank it. So you need to have a unique perspective. You need to give expertise. So it's quite funny that then a few months later, all the AI stuff started coming out, and the feeling was like, well, it's all going to come out the same. But that's not the point, is it? So are you thinking of, I need to train people in how to scope questions, because is that where the direction, or not?
Yeah. So I guess with our team, so if we're promoting a product, and obviously keywords are quite a good way, and with the keywords, we'll then ask AI, actually give us some keyword suggestions. And we'll be honest, we use Ahrefs, SEMrush and other tools. We still ask AI for questions, because it is a tool that gives us, oh, we didn't think of that. And then we run with that, and then we just put in with, and it's really collaborative. We see AI as another member of the team. One, to help us, two, to speed up the process, but you definitely need that human element using that data. And quite rightly, when more you put in, the more you get out of it. But it's definitely, but it begins to learn. So we have certain tools, and because we used it for so long, and we can break it down with our clients if they're selling, say, kind of pond systems, that's totally different to a fashion brand. So already, quite rightly, it learns the kind of the brand voice. That's what we call it internally, and it just makes our lives so much easier. So yeah, definitely, the more you put in, the easier it gets. But for us, it's quicker, it's easier. But using humans collectively, that's where you get the best results.
I think it's really interesting. I mean, I felt like a bit of the harbinger of doom here, but it's really it's good to understand, the practical things, because what strikes me is it seems that these are tools to speed things up, but ultimately, if you're a lazy AI user or deployer of AI, or however you describe it, then you're not really going to get anywhere. I think it speeds things up, but you ultimately need to imprint your brand personality on it to bring out that uniqueness. And one of my questions was going to be to you is, how do you think that search engines are going to respond to changing algorithms if everyone's just pumping out tons of content? These sort of things, I think, will be the case, right?
It's so true. And like, we could all pump out blog posts, and I see it all the time. They go on, they write a 1,000-word blog post, copy, paste, and it makes no indent, because then Google knows that. They're smart, right? But then when you break it down to, okay, what can we do for that page, for your conversion rate optimization, to make it not only SEO optimized, but for humans as well? Google's smart. They're really smart. But I see it all the time. Everyone wants to copy, paste blog post, copy, paste blog post, and then they're not ranking. It doesn't do anything because Google's smart enough. And the good news is, you're not going to be kind of black marked or kicked out of Google for using AI or not. So you should use AI, but flip it around and imagine it as a user. So many times people do like pages where they just change the location. So selling candles, Brighton, candles, London, candles, this. Google's smart. They don't need any of that. It is. But I guess, like what I've seen, if everyone pumped out the same content, you've got to just change it and be unique. Have outbound links, internal linkings, your own brand, your own voice to it. That will get the results. And whilst we're there, because this is the other thing I see everyone do, they've done that part and they think, this is great, my website's going to be page 1, but they don't have any backlinks to that new content. So they pumped out all these blog posts, all that stuff, but there's no backlinks. So therefore there's no authority, and therefore you're not going to rank. So the people using AI to do the blog posts are just wasting their time again. They may be ticking off the mark, but there's no backlinks kind of to it to do anything. So you won't get far where your competitors would. And that's the difference. I think there is a window of opportunity to get in there now before Google drops the kind of new search engine. Bing's already well on the board and actually use Bing. You'll see the different searches that Bing comes back at. But one thing I just touch upon, which is really interesting, is that because it's human-like, so when you go into Google Bing and you'll ask a question, hi, I'm looking to buy a blue suit for the weekend, it will have a result. This is where everyday users will then learn, not straight away learn, that you can reply back to that. Like, oh, wow, okay. Do they have it in this size or is it in this location? And that's the power of search people don't realize, which then Google Bing can reply back. Yes, you've got it in Brighton Churchill Square. Here's the directions. Here's this stuff, which then trickles all the way back to the helpful content because they're taking the information from the page. If you've got it on the page, and it all comes together. And when we fast forward with AI, especially with Google, is the ability then to purchase that suit there and then within Google. People are not aware of this. That's the plan. So that you're logged in with your Google account, you can actually purchase the suit on Google with your Google payment without leaving Google. So why else would you want to use Bing? So lots of cool stuff happening people are not aware of. But yeah, definitely, I'd say. Well, that.
I always thought that the acronym for Bing was, but it's not Google. So I think I need a new one. So are there any questions for our panelists from the audience? Oh, Daz, what a surprise. A question from you. Thank you.
Hi there. Hi there. Is that working? Yeah, cool. I agree with the general point that AI is a useful tool. I think the bit that I find most concerning and interesting is the time it takes away. So if you think whether you're an artist, whether that be painting or maybe music creation or video creation or coding or writing, there is a distinct difference between previous tools we've introduced, whether that be a paintbrush or eventually computers and software, where that still requires a large proportion of time, both for learning that skill and then producing the output. AI takes the majority of that away. Yes, there is still a degree of learning how to use it and training, but we're talking narrowing that down to probably like minutes or hours instead of hours, days, weeks, or months. Is that a concern you share, or do you think that that kind of will open new opportunities?
Yes, it is a concern. I think pragmatically it's because we're used to this way of interaction with a medium. And to be honest, at the beginning, this was my fear that, you know, I'm used to touching the material and playing with it and structuring it, and through this interaction with the texture and the colors and everything, then you get the inspiration, and then your brain boom boom boom, and then it creates an idea. But in most of the cases, we are describing an interaction with something our senses can actually see, feel, smell. Here we don't have the smell, but we could have it in the future. I mean, we're talking about immersive realities. We're talking about metaverse. Okay, that's down now, but come back. There are plenty of other ways where you can interact with medium. Basically, our brain is enclosed within a dark area, and all it can see is via, you know, the eyes, whatever is filtering, the nose, etc. So treat this medium as another tool for now, and see how long it actually takes if you have a specific idea, but stay true to your idea. Don't get affected by what the medium is exposing to you. At the moment, it's very easy, as I said, to understand whether it's AI generated or not. Not in all of the latest update, I'm not going to lie, but you can still see differences and patterns and structures that are very specific to that AI model and how it was trained and what kind of materials it was exposed to. As you provide more input to it and you put your style and maybe you put your drawings into it and you personalize it, then hopefully the AI will create a style for you, and then it won't take you days generating a very, very big landscape picture. It will take you, as I say, a few hours. But yeah, that's the idea. We will do less menial tasks, less repetitive admin tasks, and focus our time into things that really matter. Isn't that amazing? I don't know.
Is that a concern for you, though? The idea that, because I would never equate, for example, the time spending like doing a painting or something as a meaningful task.
Not at all.
Not creative in that sense, just not kind of my work. But I've always thought like the time someone spent in doing a painting as a whole makes it so special. I think my concern would be if you take that away, yes, it democratizes it and everyone can do it, but if everyone can do it, is it special? I think that's kind of where my concern is.
Yes, I see that point, and I still do my painting. You know, it's completely different. There's a different process there, but I still use them as in combination, complementarily. And there's all the other tools like Photoshop or designing tools that you can use when on your way to work. And you know, at the end of the day, it's just there. And if it doesn't work for you, don't use it. So yeah.
I mean, I tend to agree with you. I think, you know, I think it's about exercising muscles, right? And if you're not doing that because everything is slightly fast tracked, then do those senses and those muscles dull or deteriorate? And that's my concern. I think the toil and the struggle and the boredom are they're the kind of engine of innovation and imagination. And I tell my children about that every day, and they don't listen to me. But yeah, I think I worry that those senses will become dulled, and that will lead to these unintended consequences that we can't predict at the moment. So yeah, I do agree. I think there is something about this, you know, and everything is sort of inexorably moving towards instantaneous everything. And, you know, the parts of longing and anticipation and yearning and these very quintessential human qualities are kind of moving to the side a bit. And I wonder, again, what the effect of those will be. So, yeah, big stuff.
It's just, I guess, what does Elon Musk, who else is there, The Rock, everyone else in the room's got in common? I always think we've got about 1,000 minutes a day. By the time you wake up in the morning, by the time you go to bed. So if we've all got the same as all these billionaires, how do we use that time? And that's where AI comes in. So sure, you could spend 3 hours doing a big kind of photo shoot if it's art, or is it analysis, panelists, where people spend like hours writing the perfect email. My goodness, you could just like that time. Imagine AI will bring that down and structure it. Boom. So I see it differently. I see that if we've all got the same amount of time per day, we can choose what we can do with that. But that gives me more time to do other things, friends, family, with the kids, do adventures, push yourself differently. So actually take AI in a different way and actually see it as positive, to fill in the gaps. But quite rightly, if it's a piece of art, you know, we love art, drawing, I wouldn't use AI. I still will do that, but AI will give me free time, bonus minutes elsewhere, so I can enjoy doing kind of what we need to do.
Might people just end up spending that time on Instagram?
May I add that it's also being used for prototyping as well. So the AI will help, to give you some ideas, or maybe, you know, inspire you or give you some knowledge. I use it a lot for theories that I don't have time to read many of the books, so I use it to bring me summaries of what happened, and then I go down the rabbit hole of learning about something in psychophysiology that I never heard of. And that inspires you, and that, you know, it's not a specific, you know, generative visual AI, but it's still AI and it's useful. But your point earlier about mind stagnation and boredom, I'm scared as well on that aspect, that if creators find obstacles in the future and the market is very, very competitive and it's difficult to differentiate human work from AI work, we have a problem. Because creators are the main reason why we are making these big achievements in the modern era, right? We were talking about Elon Musk earlier, so I was just thinking about, you know, how the airplane looked like, and it was all, you know, inspired from Star Trek and all these books that we've been reading, because someone many years ago just thought about it. It was creative enough and had an imagination and a vision, and never seen it there before. And we have seen this in so many other examples in art. But if creators don't create, we will not have creations in the future, if that makes sense. It's, yeah, difficult.
Can I come in?
Yeah.
AI art and what you're talking about as well in terms of painters or whatever, I feel like they can completely coexist. And just because eventually we'll be creating amazing AI art and everyone's like, wow, it's incredible. There's something to be said for the human touch of something that's actually being created by a human, the craftsmanship that goes in it. The reason we go and see, you know, the Mona Lisa is not because it's a beautiful painting, it's because it's been painted by Da Vinci. You know, that artist sat in front of that painting all those many, you know, moons ago, going through whatever he was going through. You know, it says something about the person. So art for me is a connection to that human soul, and I don't think AI can ever replace that. So I think that, you know, it's all about, for me, and I think everything that you guys have said is so on the money. I think it's about the application of AI, and I think that it can just be used as a tool to just furnish your process and give you a little bit more opportunity to actually be inspired. So for example, I don't know if you've ever heard of CJ Hendry. She's a really amazing artist in Australia, and all of her art is pencil drawn, and it's phenomenal. And if you get your hands on something that she's done, there's just something incredible that AI will never be able to replace, because it's that human aspect to her work that you subscribe to, or at least I do. And she might use AI to, you know, get really inspired in terms of whatever, you know, composition she might end up creating in the end, and she'll use it as a tool to kind of get there. So it then becomes an inextricable part of her creative process. And that's pretty much the same with me as well, right? I sometimes spend ages working up ideas, but like last year, I have a whole notepad of immersive art installations, and I dedicate myself to just sketching something out on a page every day, with the knowledge that one day I would probably be wealthy enough to be able to hire a whole team of visual artists to bring them all to life. Hugely optimistic, maybe too ambitious, but AI came along and I'm like, hold on, I can actually now dive into this book. I have like maybe about 60, 70 of these sketches, and they then act as a North Star in terms of where I want to take these AI interpretations. And I just go to town. I never take images that are owned by anybody else. They'll all be word prompts. I will sketch up stuff. I will then feed that into the AI machine. I will then evolve it. There's a whole myriad of ways to use this as an incredible tool. So as you guys were saying, you become hugely productive. You know, I'm now getting all of these, you know, sketches into a state where I can actually, you know, take it to somebody with a bit of finance to get them made. You know, I'm posting it on LinkedIn all the time to go, look, what if we did this? I'm tagging brands. What does it look like if Tiffany takes over an island in the Maldives? Whatever it is giving me the opportunity to as well raise my profile, right? And I've spent 12 years designing this stuff, you know, going back and forth with clients that don't quite, you know what they want. There's 1,000 people, and it all gets designed by committee. Suddenly, I'm being able to really kind of take a very confident stance at selling in ideas on a regular basis, which means the productivity for me has just gone through the roof. And now I'm getting all of this really exciting attention, and AI's changed the game for me, I have to say. And it's not taking over visual artists. A team of visual artists, I absolutely still need. But if I create what you saw, for example, at the beginning on this presentation, that is used to inform what a visual artist will end up creating. So I'll take this to a manufacturer that basically create these huge inflatables, which I've already done. And I'll say, look, we need to get a technical director, production designer, and basically build this in 3D and then bring this to life. This is an expression of what I want to create. And then if we get the buy-in, then we can now take that into a commercial state and get it made. So that I don't know if that helps kind of give you a sense of where I approach this from, but I honestly hated it at first. And I was this guy that was just like seeing all this AI, and I'm like, fuck AI, like it's going to take over our jobs and this, that, and the other. And then I got to the point where I was like, if I just keep going, I hate it, I'm not going to get anywhere. I'm just going to get left behind, and I'm just going to be with all of these other cantankerous people and just go like, yeah, it's bullshit, and you know, down with AI. It's going to take over, not take over, but it will become an inextricable part of our life, and we need to embrace that. And we have the opportunity now to pioneer it, right? We either pioneer it and we define where that goes within our industry and how we actually leverage it, or we sit back and let it happen and get left behind.
Is the majority of the stuff you create all real world eventually?
Yeah.
So for me, that is where the difference lies.
Yeah.
Is if it was just a case of that's the art, then
Agreed.
If there was, is there a way that we could tell whether an AI generated that or someone?
Generally with the people, because as you mentioned, everyone's got about 10 fingers on each hand and about 3 legs. So like, you know, AI is not quite there yet. Yeah, well, that's that.
Well,
that's
it comes. There are AI. Another thing we mentioned before is that AI is judging AI, and yeah, we can see the hands of Fuzzy in a portrait or a photo. 6 fingers. I'll just get back to this. But this is so interesting. Thank you. I'm so pleased that you were coming, both tech and art. But yeah, AI is judging AI. All of these things are evolving to like, hopefully, but this takes us completely back to the whole discussion really of like minefield. But yeah, so I think to wrap up, if we can just, from where you guys sit, having all of these elements that we've talked about, which have been, yeah, really interesting. I'd like to know what you think from your point of view in your line of work. What are the tools that we're using at the moment that are going to be totally redundant in the next few years? Ricky, we'll start with you.
Okay, so I think what will be redundant in the next few years, so don't hate me, will be print. And it's interesting, so print. And let's be honest here. So I know a lot of printers who struggled. Okay, you got COVID and stuff, but you know, back in the day, get your leaflet, get your brochure and stuff. It's declining. And obviously COVID came, no one's doing events. I'm sure it may have picked up now because of events. But I believe print, because as a business or, you know, someone, an influence on social media, you could use technology, AI, to go and promote your work, your brand, as such, instead of print, meaning leaflets or flyers, the old school way, brochures. So I actually see print will really, really decline as we would get used to technology more and more. So not just like like Facebook's full of adverts and Instagram full of adverts, but you'll see how backed by AI, you'll have more chatbots. So you go on to obviously an e-commerce site, a fashion site, and you'll have like the little basic chatbot now. How can we help you? And it's very simple at the moment, but that's training everyone, the public, the world, how to use that. And it's just sequence. Put AI behind that, it gets more detailed. Once you've logged in with your account on your website, you'll get to know more personalized. Oh, Ricky, you love those trainers. Hey, look, we've got these added. Or hey, Rick, welcome back. We've got this as a sale. So that's where AI from the chatbots or virtual assistants, they could be called, which we'll get used to. So that's where we see that coming through. And also think from maybe gaming. So it's great listening about art and how art, but realistically, how it's going to be used in the real world. But imagine you're playing a game. I use Fortnite as an example, and you want to create your own avatar. Right, make me 6 foot, make me really big, make me have a six pack. AI can do that. So you don't spend the time creating your character. And I think that will come through. So for any printers out there, I think print will be the one that will get left behind. Don't hate me.
Can I just ask though, because one of the things that you've all touched on slightly is how the menial tasks will be gone. Yeah. Now I'm pretty sure everyone here remembers when they started their career, those menial tasks were how we got our jobs. Yeah. That's how we learn and how we are now. You know. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Those menial jobs are how we actually learn and how we got into the industries that we love and how we grew in those industries. And my concern is, and I'm totally sit on the fence about AI. I've started using it recently. For me, people is my passion. I love people. So I find it difficult because I can't get to the people with AI. And I find it's really clunky when it's actually about building real relationships, which is what I've been doing for 20 years. Yeah. But my concern around it is about all those younger generations who, how do they get their foot in the door if all the menial tasks are being done by machines?
Yeah. Love that. And one of the industries I think about is estate agents and real estate. As much as we maybe love them or hate them, I think that their jobs are safe. And the reason why is that people, you know, until AI or computers can sell you houses, you need that people approach. But where AI will help estate agents and real estate is by creating adverts or creating a listing. You can even try it now, even with your own house, or if it's been listed on Zoopla or Rightmove. Write me a property description for putting your address. And you're like, wow, you know, it's got 2 bedrooms, 3, 2 toilets, this, the garden. And that's where it comes in. But quite rightly, it won't remove people, but it will help them do their jobs quicker, faster, go out with more viewings, and obviously hopefully sell more houses.
There you go.
So I completely agree, but I think we still need to train them to do the menial tasks at the beginning, to just to understand why this is important, why we need to do it, until we know whether training is needed or not. Maybe some automations in the process will be required anyway, but for basic customer service, you still have some first response. You don't need to write that email every time. You probably copy paste it, but instead of being in the office, the AI can do it for you. Things like that I'm thinking right now. And basic code and analysis, that's also really, really good for us, because yes, you learn how to analyze the data, but if it's to do the same plot again and again for 110 data sets, let the AI do that for you. At least you have to know you have to own the know-how.
Yeah, I think it will be sort of self-filtering as well. I think if you rely on AI too much and your workforce doesn't build certain skills, then you won't be competitive. So the ones that do invest in that and are able to teach it will have an advantage, I think, still. Because ultimately, I don't think you'll be able to provide as good a service. I might hope. But, I think we're already suffering this from remote working, the idea that I think particularly juniors miss out on learning through osmosis by not being around senior people who've done this for ages. And the stuff that you learn from just being in the same room, seeing the questions they ask, the way they approach conflict and all of this sort of stuff, you can't get through a Zoom screen. So, there's already essences of these issues that are happening. And like the market will respond basically, because companies that adopt things that create a more skilled workforce will succeed.
Makes you grateful to be old again. Just to perhaps come back to you a little bit, and in general, we're kind of talking a little bit about art. I feel like the arts is quite a privileged space. To be a professional artist, you have to have a certain amount of backing, and a lot of artists have that ability. And I feel like AI and art, it could level the playing field a little bit. I don't know what you think about that. It could give people access to expression and that pathway a little bit clearer. I mean, I don't know, that's my instinct. I'm thinking it could be a really good thing for people who otherwise wouldn't necessarily even imagine themselves creating art if they're doing it through a computer or a digital space, or they're learning about it in school, and then all of a sudden there's this free trial for this AI art thing. All of a sudden they've opened up this, where they maybe have been discouraged from perhaps being an artist, or they do the sketches when they were little and they're like, oh, that's not very good. But having this opening, I feel like maybe it could be a really good leveler for an industry that can be quite elitist. I don't know, that's just my insight.
Absolutely. I truly believe in that, because I've had many of my friends who never had the opportunity to study the arts, or they were forced to go to study something really, really boring. And now they actually enjoy doing something in the weekends where they play with this new AI interfaces, and they get so much fun and enthusiasm, and the light and the eyes are shining, and I'm like, oof, that's perfect. The sign in your eyes, that's art for me. Like, this is majestic. And when you mentioned it, I just realized that photography, when it first came out as a medium, was a major disruptor, and everyone was against it, especially because in the 18th century, up until the photography was invented, 1839, and then I believe until then everyone was focusing on realism. And so when it first came out, everyone was against it, and they couldn't understand why that was happening, and it was taking all the creators' jobs, etc., etc., etc. And then 19th century onwards, we're starting seeing some new movements, we're starting seeing some changes. 20th century, we know that photography is here to stay, and we've seen so many different movements and reinventions of art, so many new creations, impressionism, expressionism, fauvism, or whatever. Everything that has happened is due to the intervention of photography at that time, right? So maybe AI is not exactly photography, but we don't know exactly how it's going to be formalized, how it's going to affect our creative process. We're just making empirical observations based on what is currently available. But I'm looking at generative AI and I'm thinking, God, this is the future. We're going to be able to make avatars. We're going to be able to make immersive environments. We're going to be able to bring out a thought and make it into a reality and then experience it within. This is very powerful for me. And I always was very engaged with the immersive installations, etc. So if we can do that just out of a thought, just out of text, that's, yeah, magical.
Anything? Well, you keep hold of that anyway. Well, we've been piped some questions from our online viewers, wherever they are. And oh, hello. The one for you, Ricky, which is a very easy answer. Are you writing another book about using AI for SEO?
Yeah, come on, Ricky, we all need it.
That's it. Yes, yeah, use it. So imagine that you all went home tonight and you thought, you know what, I'm going to write a book in your industry, and you use AI to write that book, and then you publish that book. Now, when you say come back in next month or next year or 6 months, I say, guys, wrote this book about this wine or your industry. How, just think of, for the moment, when you tell that to people, is a case of like, they will never question, did you use AI or not use AI? So it's the way you're perceived to help make you an expert in your field. It's something that other people asked. I got a sore throat today, talk about AI and stuff like that, and I see lots of free tools about that. So, yeah, maybe that could be the 4th book. I do it as a yearly birthday challenge. So when I was I 40 last year. So writing for me is not, I'm not good at with the writing, get the words down for that. And it used to be a case I set up myself. It's called the Parkinson's law. So when you set yourself a goal, doesn't matter that was back in the January, so I had a year and 3 months, or 3 months, you can make it happen. So I've done that. So I wake up nice and early in the morning, sneak downstairs, don't wake up the kids, spend about 45 minutes, an hour writing the book, a little bit at a time, and then 3 months later, publishes on Amazon, it's on iTunes, and I'll do it again, and I've just done it again as well. So it's a little challenge for you, but yeah, I think AI could be the next book.
Okay, we'll do one more question from the thing, and then should we all go for a drink? Yeah. So there is quite a punchy statement, which I'll just read out because it's quite funny. It's not really a question, but Mid-Journey doesn't make me an artist as much like holding a plunger doesn't make me a plumber, which is quite a good line. But there are also AI is good for productivity, but can't replace art. Art is a human reaction to experience. But a question from Major Digital: do you think it's correct to say something was created with AI, or should it be termed curated or commissioned? I curated this image on Mid-Journey, for example.
From a legal perspective, there needs to be a human kind of input, and I guess the prompt is so-called the human input in that. But creation, it's a very difficult one to answer because the big debate around IP is the ownership of the product that comes out of it, and at the moment, from what I read, it's not capable of intellectual property rights or protection. That may well change, but it's a difficult one that I'd like to hear your opinion.
Whatever we do, we have to say that it is made by AI or not. That I don't care what we say, but we have to make it very, very transparent, be accountable about who has been affected by that, what kind of images have been used in the process. If you're not aware, maybe find out, say exactly which algorithm has been used. If your organization was relying on creators to create some sort of content and you let them off because you used AI, I think that is something you should put everywhere in your content. So yeah, as long as we figure this out, that'll be fantastic.
I guess with marketing, imagine you're using AI on your website. Do you really need to say this content was created by AI? And the next page, do we really need that? It's different, which is crazy because marketing. Imagine you go and look at billboards at night. This was created by AI. Do we actually need that in content of what you're copying? But marketing, it's just that's it. That's I think that's the key. You let people assume. So with my friend, a photographer, that AI content, you let them pursue. It's up to them what they make up. And you'll see with certain websites, you go on the homepage. You've got the product, intro text, call to actions, trust badges. Sometimes you may see Daily Mail, The Sun, The Mirror. Doesn't say as featured in. You're led to believe, oh, they must be big because they're in those papers. It's the same concept as marketing. Do we need to do that? Elements within content and a marketing world.
Yeah, I get it.
Whoa, okay. This was obviously a hot topic because I was trying to stick to my time schedule, guys. And there was a lot of questions and I had to relax and just let it go because everybody is keen and there's still a whole load of stuff to talk about. And I think we should go and talk about it over a glass of wine. And but before we move, I want to say thank you very, very much to Silicon Brighton. Thank you so much to Helen for organising all the space. Thanks to Alex over there, Silicon Brighton, Charlie, Zach and Hayden, and also our incredible panelists. Woo! Ifi, Anuj and Ricky. Woo!
And thank you, Kitty.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's been an absolute pleasure.
So there's plenty of pizza, there's plenty of booze. Let's all go to there. Massive thanks to Kitty, who also helped really pull this together and has coordinated these three guys. So this is obviously the first of Marketing Matters. We know that marketing impacts every business, and if it doesn't, then we're not doing your business well, I'll be honest. But our next topic is collaborate and listen.
Collaborate and listen.
So that's
Collaboration, not competition.
in September. So we're going to be running them quarterly. If anybody today has any feedback for us, good, bad, or ugly, we'd love to hear it because we want these to be helpful. I certainly, thank you guys. I've got things already written down that I'm going to do. I hope you guys feel the same. And like I said, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it. Oh, that's great.